where the waters flow. We'll show you what we've come to know on board while sailing wisdom.
We're back in the water. We made it. Everything went smoothly and quickly, and we have one day to get ready to leave tomorrow and head to Gibraltar. So it should be about a 3-day passage. We've got a lot to do. First thing we're gonna do is provision. So we're headed to Mercadona. Then we gotta go up the mast, rig the sails, clean the deck, get the interior completely ready to go. And yeah, that's it. It's fine, no big deal. We got this.
Okay, so we're getting ready to leave here tomorrow, and part of that is getting our sails rigged, and our sails have been put away for since November, and now it's July, so it's been a long time. So a lot of you guys have asked about, our head sail setup. So our staysail is a smaller version of our jib, so I figured let me show you on that one because that one's a little easier to visualize it all. So the first thing is our sheeting. So we have a clue board which has a bunch of holes. So instead of moving the cars forward or aft on the jib track, we simply changed position on the clue board. So pretty much low is the same as being back, and top is the same as being forward on a car. What that means is that at the bottom you're pulling back on the sail, so you're pulling it this way, so that flattens it out for heavy weather. And then at the top you're pulling more down, which is more for light wind. So we have it set up so that the non-self-tacking sheets are on the bottom one, because if it gets bad you want to flatten the sail and you're not tacking a lot because it's bad. But this is our starting position, where bottom and middle on the clue board. So that's that part. Next, right there we have a kringle for a reef point. So if we reef, we simply attach our sheets right up there and then tie it all up with the board, with the reef lines. Now this leads us to the stay. So our stay is synthetic, and we have a chafe sleeve over it all, and then we have these soft shackles, which are our hanks, so they're soft hanks. And then we have these 3 ropes. So this guy here is our tack point for our staysail. So this line simply comes up, goes back to it, and it runs back aft, so that way from aft we can just literally pull the tack down and then have our sail reefed. Now this guy is our downhaul, so it goes all the way to the top of the sail, and its purpose is if there's so much pressure on the sail that it just can't come down, with this guy we can actually physically pull the sail down. So all of these lines attach down at the bottom, and it has a soft shackle built into the end of the thing. And if you want to see a video on how to make this, there's a link in the description down below. Now they all come down to the tack point, which is just a clip, and I just have little stop knots put in, and these stop knots are special because it's a slip knot, so if you pull, it comes right out. Now the reason I have these slip knots here is because if I don't, the lines can pull in and then start flapping around and making a bunch of noise, and I don't like it. So to put a reef in the head sail, all we need to do is lower the halyard, pull in on the tack line, and then raise the sheets up, tighten the halyard back up. So let's do that real quick. And there you have the not very pretty but reefed head sail. So looking up, you can see it doesn't reach the top of the stay anymore. And right here, this tack point, it's pulled down, it's nice and tight. This is all good and strong. The last thing would be just to take it on the downhaul, just little things, tidy it all up, and you're ready to sail under a reduced sail plan. So we don't usually do this on our staysail unless the wind is about 50 knots. And when it gets that high, a lot of times we just heave to under just our trysail, so we'll lower the staysail completely. So we've only done this a couple times. We don't usually do it, but if we need the sail and we need the balance or whatever, we have the ability to reef our staysail as well as our jib, and it's the exact same process, just it's a bigger sail. So lastly, we're just getting the main and trysail set, make sure that everything's working on them. And it's really cool. You can see the huge difference in size from the main to the little bitty storm trysail.
The time has come. We are leaving Spain. We're casting off the lines and we're headed to Gibraltar. These poor sails haven't been up in so long, not since November. And right now, we're in July. So, we're so excited, so ready. And here we go. We're off, we're sailing. We actually raised our sails while we were still leaving port, and I cannot articulate or express in the proper words how liberating this feeling is to be under sail again and to have wisdom carrying us to our next destination. It's just this feeling of freedom that you can only understand if you're a cruiser. This is the perfect day because there's wind in the correct direction, but the water isn't
flat.
Too expressive. Yeah, it's flat. So this is the perfect conditions for our boat because we'll just cut so smoothly through the water.
So we're on our way. The only annoying thing is being this close to shore, everyone's AIS is tripping the alarm and it's just beeping in the background. As you can tell, we didn't put away dock lines or fenders because very shortly we're going to be tying up in Gibraltar. And by shortly, I mean 2 days. And we're gonna need them then. So instead of putting them all away, we'll just put them later. So we got Wendy set up. It was so nice. All I did was, put it back together, put it in the water, and she's steering. She's been sitting stationary for like 9 months. And it was so nice to just work. And no software updates or whatever computer things do. It just is. So now we're just sitting back, relaxing, listening to that lovely beepy tune, and just enjoying our trip to Gibraltar. I love this setup. You just set it, set your sails, let go, and that's it. It's just, it does it all for you, and there's no issues.
No effort, no issues.
Yeah,
just hanging out.
Just works. Lining the coast, you see all those like white structures? Those are actually greenhouses, and apparently most of the vegetables for all of Europe are grown right here in those greenhouses on this coast. Now that's awesome and all, but I do wonder, why did they pick the hottest, driest part of Spain to grow vegetables? It's very expensive, and what's really cool, if you look on like Google Maps, the satellite view, the whole peninsula is just covered in greenhouses, so it's interesting. It's incredibly calm. Like the wind just completely vanished. Then we heard this big, like beach type wave breaking behind us. It was just coming. Oh, the Med. We're not gonna miss you. Especially, you hear the static? Someone's just hitting the button on their radio. Hot mic. So, a really interesting thing that's going on now. Before this moment, every single mile we sailed was a mile further away from Baltimore, Maryland and all. And now we've reached our furthest point and we've turned around. And now we're sailing back to the Americas. So now every mile we sail isn't a mile further away, but a mile further back to the US.
A mile closer.
A mile closer to the US, yes. So it's a total change of pace, because before we were just going, and now we're, very slowly, as you can tell, making our return.
But there's still some incredible places we have ahead of us, and there's so much to be excited about that all I'm thinking about right now is Madeira and Cape Verde, because they're just, they have such reputations of being beautiful and cultural and fascinating places, so I'm really excited.
Well, I'm really excited for Florida. We're going to be switching out our battery bank from the current ones, which are lead acid, so that's great in an electric motor, to lithium. So I'm going to be building our own battery bank, and I'm excited for that. We're here in the Med, as you know. It's a lovely body of water, as you know. And the wind just completely died. And as we went further away, there was less wind and bigger seas. And now we have these really, they're like 5 to 6 foot waves, but there's no wind. So that's a bummer. We have a tiny battery bank, so if we motor with speed, we won't do it for very long. We're at about 10 amps, which is about 400 RPM. So I think for a diesel, that'd pretty much be at idle. At this rate, we can do this for 25 hours. So that means that it's not really gonna hurt the battery bank, and we'll have plenty of power to dock when we get to Gibraltar. But the interesting thing is that little touch of power made it a lot less awful, because before it's like the waves would come and knock us and we'd lose all momentum and the sails would just well, as they are. But we'd get tossed back and forth, and it was a little, how was it?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, with this on, it keeps the forward momentum going. And that's pretty nice, so I think we're just gonna leave it. Just can't forget we left it, so we'll run out of power.
The nice thing is there's no smell or sound goes with the motor, so we can just kind of continue to relax and maybe be a little less seasick in my case.
Yeah.
It's a lot more comfortable with the motor going at this point. It's been on for a half hour now, and we're making some headway, and it's just more comfortable. So, yay.
We are at 98% right now. So one of the solar panels is going to the motor bank, so it's putting power back in. But let's be honest, it puts in 0.15 kilowatts at its maximum, and we are drawing 0.4 kilowatts. So we're actually running at a loss of 0.3 kilowatts. Not much power going around here, but it's just enough to keep us going steady. And we're just motoring along with the sails up when there's a little wind. We're doing between 2 to 3 knots. Maddie took some Dramamine because seasickness, and the wind's pretty much vanished, but there's a lot of swell. But the gorgeous part of this, the sun is setting, and there's just these mountains off in the horizon in the distance, and it's just so pretty. And best of all, it is not hot. Another cool thing, this whole trip, we've always been heading east, because we've been sailing from the US to Europe, and then everything's been go east, east, east. This is our first time sailing into a sunset, and it's nice. It's really romantic, and well, except she's on drowning, so she's asleep. But just the thought of it all it's quite. I see the love and the lure of the sailing off into the sunset. It is magical out here.
So I just woke up. I took a Dramamine because I was feeling really sick because the absolute worst conditions for my seasickness include just kind of like bobbing, large waves, but no wind, and that is exactly what we had. So I started feeling really sick really fast. So I took a Dramamine and fell asleep, as one does, and woke up, and I thought I'd been asleep for about an hour, but it's 9 p.m. so it was about a 4-hour knockout. So I feel really groggy and strange and disoriented right now, but at least I'm not throwing up.
Alright, so for dinner, we're having SpaghettiOs, but I made them fancy. So I put in some chopped garlic, chopped onions, and chopped Spam. Yeah. And Maddie's on watch right now. She's awake and feeling much better. Should we do a taste test? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. We also had a bunch of spices. It's good, because I tasted it straight out of the can, what was in there. I was like, I can't eat that for dinner. Alright, well, watch time. So Maddie's gonna do first watch. I'm going to bed. And there's no wind, but a big swell, so it's a lot of noise. And we're just doing that motor sail thing for just a little bit of power, about 10 amps, nothing much. And it's just gonna push us kind of in the right direction, and we're doing 2 knots. But there's no clouds anywhere in the sky, so I can't read the sky to find wind. So yeah, we're going off internet forecasts. We'll see how that works. And we got about 100 miles left to get to Gibraltar, and then we're there. All right, it's currently 2:11. How's that yawn face? Okay, it's currently 2:11. Maddie just finished her watch. Starting mine. There's a wee bit of wind, so Maddie pretty much just kept the boat stationary because there was 0 wind all night. And kind of feels like there's some wind now, so I'm gonna get dressed and get out there. Man, night watch might be long and grueling, but that sunrise, that's worth it. Well, sun's coming up, and my watch is soon gonna be ending. It's 6 a.m. now, roughly. So as soon as the sun's up, we'll trade places. Maddie will take over, and I'll get some sleep. Honestly, I could have ended my watch and let Maddie know, and she would have come out here. And I could have done that a lot earlier, but I really wanted to watch the sun come up because it's so beautiful to see.
It is dead calm still.
You can see the glass has already messed it up because it's already up to 100 degrees. Yeah, so we are sailing in the right direction at 1.5 knots.
It's just a little frustrating because on the first day, you know, as we got such a wonderful start.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.
And if you'd like to follow our journey in real time on a map, receive postcards from our ports of call, and message us directly to the boat, you can go ahead and become a patron using the link in the description down below.
So relaxing with the sails banging around.